Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Bizchicks TV. This is the place to be for tips, tools, strategies, everything you need to take the hassle out of your hustle and build a profitable business that's fun to run. Today is Tuesday. The digital diva's in the house. She's ready. She's prepped, and we're ready. Get a pen, get a paper. Let's take some notes. And TJ is going to give us some more details and stats and strategies, everything you need for your digital marketing and successful social media journey. TJ, take it away.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of Marketing Talk, where we talk about all things marketing and we talk about tips and tools and things you need to know, also current trends and current information. So we've been talking about the state of the consumer. I believe that was our last week's show. And this week we're going to talk about consumer sentiment, because I fell down a rabbit hole with the last week with that resonate chart. And then there was another one by McKinsey. Let me see. I think it was McKinsey. And then I said, hey, we got to talk about that one. So let me pull it up real quick. I'm sorry, guys. My notes aren't synced from my iPad. So just give me a second. I got to find it. So what do we think about what's going on? Because I'm going to tie it into what's been happening in the last few days with the stock market and the tariffs and stuff. So all of this is really current information.
Right. It is current because consumer sentiment is people are making their sentiments known.
Yes.
And it's a good thing.
Yes. Yeah. So we're in I heard a reporter say uncertainty. That's the word that they're using.
Right.
So I have a chart that I want to bring up. So yeah, go ahead. I'm just making sure I got it.
Because the consumers don't know what to okay, so I'm taking this class, and pretty much in the class they're saying, so it could be up, it could be down, and everybody they just don't know. And you have to be prepared for what you want to do. Even though everybody does not know what to do, you got to get the info. That's why you're coming here, so you'll know what to do.
Yes.
In these uncertain times, there is a plan and a strategy for changing what's going on.
Right. So my notes aren't syncing. Hold on.
Yeah, like from the phone to the from the desktop to the thing. I was like, okay, what is happening? I don't know if it's because when I updated my my Mac Mini, I was having trouble yesterday, but it could mean that I just don't have enough space, so I need to check a couple of things. But consumer sentiment is really big, and that's one of the ways people keep an eye on the economy.
Yes.
To see, and that determines, whether stocks go up or down or sideways or what have you because of consumer sentiment.
Right. So, all right. So does everybody see, is the screen share there? Okay.
I can see the screen share.
Okay, good. So this was information from last week's U.S. State of the Consumer. It's U.S. consumer sentiment, the state of the U.S. consumer. We're not talking globally, and this is 2025. So I had a report last week where we looked at, and I said that the information probably stopped at December 2024 because it was really upbeat, and you can see how things have changed in the last 3-4 months. So they also reference this is McKinsey and I want to say McKinsey and Company, and they are, they do trends and they do studies, and it's a whole bunch of things that they do for their clients. This is about consumer packaged goods, which is how the economy works in America and all over the world. People buy goods and services, right?
Right.
That's how the economy runs. It keeps running. People buy and sell. That's how, people get income, or pay their bill. Then they get income and they pay, that's how the whole ball of wax works. But this is from February 25th, 2025. They did an update on U.S. consumer sentiment. It's growing uncertainty. There's that word again. I saw that it popped up everywhere. Casting a chill on spending plans. Now, keep in mind, this is February, the end of February. We're now April 8th. And we
Mm-hmm.
had some things happen on Friday. Was it Thursday or Friday of last week, where the administration came out and said, oh, the tariffs are going into effect. You had a whole, called it Liberation Day and all kind of craziness. But what happened was that caused the stock market is very emotional and volatile. That caused the stock market to nosedive. I don't even know how much it crashed. Was it Friday? And then there was nothing done to stabilize it over the weekend. So when the markets opened on Monday, they really went, I don't even know if there's a word for what happened. So that's where we are. So because of what's happened the last few days, the US consumer sentiment, we haven't even measured what it is now. And there's another I have another study, hold on. From the unit I think it's from what university? Michigan? Let me see. I think it's from Michigan. The University of Michigan. They do a consumer sentiment for the US. They do it every month. So I found that and I was like, oh, this is interesting. So they've done some like up to date like charting, and we're gonna look at that. Like they're people that are like studying the consumer sentiment like up to date, like as up to date as we can get it. So we're gonna look at that. But before I do that, let me see if I got on my Okay, so let's look at this article first, and let me move over to this. This is CBS News. Consumer sentiment plunges to 2-year low amid tariffs and inflation worries. This was updated on March 14, 2025, and it's a nice story from CBS News and their financial people. Now, let me stop for a minute as to why we're talking about this. Why are we talking about consumer sentiment? I want to make sure we're on the page of why this is important to marketing. Why is this important to your business?
Because it has everything to do with what people are going to buy or stop buying or whatever they're going to do based on whatever is happening. It's the people's reaction.
Exactly. We don't live in a silo where, oh, my business people are going to buy. No, it is contingent upon the economy, how people feel emotionally. Do they have jobs? Do they have income? If they are feeling frightened about their income going away, all of that affects their spending.
Yep.
Consumer spending, like I said, it's all tied together. And then another one, real quick. I've been online and reading stuff, and there's a thing from other countries that are like, "Oh, you guys are in trouble, ha ha ha," and I'm like, the markets are tied together. They're global. The stock market in the United States is tied to Canada, to Japan, to Germany, to Europe. We're all together. It's a domino effect. So if you're over in another country laughing at the Americans, this is going to affect you, not as much as it's affecting us, but it's something called the domino effect. So
Right.
that sentiment I didn't understand at all.
Okay, because there will not be travel to your country.
We will not
It,
go there because we don't have any money.
there will, the tariffs is making it difficult to get things in and out of your country. So,
Yes.
yeah, there's
I
going to
did
be.
not I did not understand that sentiment from other countries. So if you're watching from Europe or wherever, we're all tied together.
Mhm.
Okay? This not, oh, the US over there is in trouble. Ha ha ha. Not no, no, not at all. Okay. So I thought that was just weird. Like we're all in this together, people. This is not a old us versus them. That's why if you ever watch the stock market news during the day, they always talk about all global markets. They don't just over in America. They don't just focus on the Nasdaq or the Dow or this.
Mm-mm.
They look at every worldwide market. Why? Because we're tied together. We're handcuffed together, kind of, if you want to put it like that. So
Right,
I just thought that
because
was crazy.
everything affects everybody.
Right. Right. All right. So this article, CBS News, I'm going to let me go over there and play it. And let me see if I can get it bigger. Yes. Okay, we can see that because I can't.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, let me get the sound.
President Trump's fresh tariff threats on the European Union spooked investors, basically dragging the S&P correction territory by yesterday's closing bell. And now, even with a slight boost, on track to end its worst week in 2 years. CBS News Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady joins us live now. And Kelly, I suppose the big question now is, how are Americans holding up under the weight of all of this very obvious uncertainty and back and forth too?
So by and large, they're feeling concerned. And I say that because we got new data on how the consumer is feeling today. It's called the Consumer Sentiment Survey from the University of Michigan. And it showed an 11% drop in terms of how people are feeling about the economy, about their personal finances, about where the economy is going in the future. Now, this is after a big drop last month as well. And we've sort of seen the past couple of months how consumers are feeling start to deteriorate. And in this specific survey, a lot of people mentioned uncertainty, there's that word again, around economic and trade policies. Now, I do want to emphasize this is a preliminary reading. We will get the official results in 2 weeks at the end of the month. And traditionally, we don't actually look at consumer sentiment a lot and put a lot of weight on it. It's considered soft data instead of hard data like an inflation number or a jobs report where you actually get hard numbers. But this gives really a real-time picture of how the consumer is feeling. And it comports with what we have heard from CEOs saying that the consumer is weakening and spending less, and those retail sales numbers dipping last month. So there's just a lot of uncertainty and a little bit of anxiety because folks are seeing this whiplash and feeling a little bit uncertain about where things are going, Mugo.
Yeah, and investors obviously uncertain as well as they digest this new data. Can you walk us through what's happening in the markets right now?
Okay, I'm going to stop it there because it's about 4 minutes and they go on. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. And Dr. Tachi is here.
Yay.
All right, so that was CBS News. You know, they did a little news story and they talked to their financial person, but what she was saying about consumer sentiment, how people are feeling, which affects how people shop and live. So if I think something bad is going to happen to my 401k or my savings or my whatever or my job, I'm going to stop buying. I'm going to stop. I'm only going to buy the essentials. Can we all agree with that? I'm not predicting what's going to happen. I'm just saying when there's something like this that comes along, we're going to look at our wallets and say, well, do I need that latte or do I need that vacation or do I need to buy that new outfit? Is it necessary? Because before the last year, I will say before the election, say in October, things were great because there was always like fears of a recession. It was always talk about, oh, a recession is coming. They've been saying it like maybe a year or so. And we kind of pretty much avoided it until this new administration came in or they're doing the things that they're doing. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know the rhyme or the reason because it doesn't make any sense, but that's not what we're here to talk. We're here to look at the consumer sentiment, U.S. consumer sentiment, because this is how they feel, which is tied into buying, which is what your business is all about. You need customers and clients to buy, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at this, and this is very like current, like to the minute of. I didn't even check what was happening today with everything. So I'm not sure what's happening today, but I know yesterday there's been a lot of volatility. Okay, so this was one of the articles that I saw last week. Yeah. So let's go back to let me go back to the screen share. Let's go back to the McKinsey. Where is it? Here we go. The article. The U.S. consumer sentiment. And this is what they're saying. It's in the first quarter of 2025, U.S. consumers reported feeling nearly as optimistic as they did at the end of the previous year. This optimism was buoyed by a robust economy with low unemployment, steady job growth, and stable inflation. However, for U.S. consumers across income groups and generations, spending intentions were down across several discretionary categories. That discretionary is what we're concerned about as business owners. That means after I pay my necessary bills, like I have to pay my mortgage, I have to buy food, I have to pay for utilities, the car note. What do I have left? So they're saying that last year they had a lot more to discretionary income to feel good about. So that means like they're saying here about their approach to holiday spending, that last year in 2023 going into 2024 they were feeling pretty good because the economy was good. So that's really what this is about. And I was going to show you this, but I want to talk about let me show you this. So this is they talked to a few people, and let me see, where was the information? McKinsey and Company, where did they talk to? I forgot where it was. But, of course, they do a survey and they talk to a certain sample of people. This is one. Overall, I'm planning to spend less simply because prices of basic needs like utility, eggs, food in general, fresh items have increased. So I'll probably spend a little less on apparel and other things like shoes, and maybe less on vacation than I have in the past. So this is a female, a baby in the baby boomer category that is it 65 and up or 60 and up? I think boomers are 60 plus. And this was one of the charts that they had about where they plan to cut back on spending. I just wanted to show you some of the categories. So essentials, fresh produce, meat and dairy, baby supplies, gasoline, pet food, center store, shelf stable groceries. That's in, the shelves like cereal and things that are in boxes, non-alcoholic beverages, semi-discretionary. That means, okay, they're kind of needed, but I can do without if I have to. Household supplies, personal care products, fitness and wellness services, vitamins, supplements, over-the-counter medicine, vehicles, beauty products, and toys. And there's a little note here at the left. It says consumers reported their plans to decrease spending across many discretionary categories. This suggests that even optimistic consumers, in addition to consumers who feel uncertainty, there's that word again, I keep seeing it everywhere, and pessimism about the economy, may hold back when it comes to spending. Now, I don't want to get into like the data of this chart because one is old. I mean, it's February. You would say, hey, that's not old. But according to what's going on now, I wouldn't look at this. I would want to look at like the newest data, which we have with the University of Michigan study. But I just thought that I love that this chart broke it out, the essentials and then the semi-discretionary. Okay. Does everybody see that? And then it says, the question that was asked, over the next 3 months, do you expect that you will spend more, about the same, or less money on these categories than usual? And they're saying that, of course, this was the McKinsey Consumer-Wise Global Sentiment Survey, February 2025. And I'm thinking I see an N equals 4,000. So that may be the sample. Like they've asked 4,000 Americans across different regions, and they have a whole study of how they pick people for the samples.
And
But
then
I
the
just go ahead.
I was going to say, and then the people had to agree to do the survey too. You know,
Yes,
'cause
they might have
sometimes,
called. I don't know. I didn't get into the details of how they got the information. I just know that from being in market research that you have a sample and you know it's Middle America, East Coast. You know they do a broad sample, and you don't need all Americans. You don't need
right,
300 million Americans. You need a sample that's representative. So I'm pretty sure that
right.
this group has been in business for a while and they know what they're doing. I just thought that this was like a good snapshot of consumer sentiment as far as February 2025. So,
And it has now changed.
yes, it has now changed. That's the thing. Um, and then they went into a little bit more detail. It says consumer reported spending intentions were nuanced. Consumers, particularly among Gen X and Gen Z respondents, said they plan to cut back spending on discretionary categories such as apparel, footwear, electronics, while they plan to increase spending on cruises and international flights compared with the previous quarter. This is in line with seasonal expectations. So many consumers are planning their spring break getaways. Similar to this time last year, consumer across age groups said they plan to increase spending on home improvement and garden supplies as they prepare for spring. So this gives you a snapshot into the mind of what they were doing, of course, before the tariff talk. The economy was going along pretty good. You know, it seemed stable. So people making plans to buy things that are non-discretion, non-essential.
Right.
And so some of these here, let's look at this chart. So, and let me zoom it in a little bit so we can see a little better. There we go. Okay, so consumers plan to cut back on spending across several, but not all discretionary categories. So some of the categories discretional: cruises, pet care services, international flights, home improvement, gardening supplies, personal care services, entertainment at home, domestic flights, sports, outdoor equipment and supplies, meals at sit-down restaurants, alcoholic beverages, entertainment away from the home, food delivery from app. You know what that is. That's the Uber Eats. Meals at quick service restaurants, and I love that they call it quick service and not calling it fast food. Hotel resort stays, furniture, apparel, footwear, short-term apartment or house rentals, electronics for home or personal use, jewelries, accessories, decorations, and products from home. So, you know, in the black, that's the less column. The gray is the same, like they're not going to change. Then this is spending per category in the next 3 months. And then you have more, the blue is more, which is more. And then, of course, it's broken down. Remember, I wrote, said over here, Gen X, Gen Z. So each generation is going to do their spend things differently. We know that, but I wanted to see about the categories just in case you had a question about, well, my business, where does my business fall? So this is what they're calling discretionary. So these are all non-essential, I must pay the light bill, I must pay the mortgage so I can have, so I have a place to live. I don't have to go on a cruise. I don't have to go on an international flight. I don't have to improve my home. Maybe some of those things can be pushed back. I don't have to buy any new furniture. I don't have to buy any new footwear. I definitely are not going to spend more on decorations and products for home because those are all things that you buy when you're in a good spot financially, economically. You feel stable about your job, your income. See?
Mm-hmm.
But this is from February 2025. So, but this gives us a little idea of, what people might what people might stop spending on if things continue the way they are today. Because of the tariffs, that means the price of everything increases. So if they're really not buying here, just think about an added 10% tax or whatever the percent. I haven't even caught up with the percentages that it's supposed to go up.
Okay, so normally when like I went and got a burrito
Mm-hmm.
Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
they put 50% on if I used a debit card or credit
Yeah.
card.
Because it costs them. Mm-hmm.
Right. So all these people who's being hit with a tariff, guess who is going to affect? Guess where they're passing that fee on to? They are not going to take that fee and
No,
absorb it. They are going
no.
to pass that fee on to the
They
consumer.
never, whoever said that the business was going to take this on or the other country was going to absorb it, no.
Now they did.
No.
Now, to their credit, they didn't want to do it, but they're telling you why they're doing it now.
Yes. And that's like a few weeks, well, maybe last month. And there's other places where, it was about the eggs, and they were saying here, like here, everybody likes to grab a bacon, egg, and cheese, or you get something from the bodega. And all the delis was like, well, we got to add on a 50-cent tax for the eggs. And I think it was a Waffle House that even came out nationally and said, oh, we have to put an extra whatever price on if you order eggs, because eggs are so dear as far as scarcity, and that affects the price. So you see how it always goes to us, the consumer. But here, tie that in with consumer sentiment of, I don't feel so good about the stability of my income, so I'm all non-essential stuff, I'm not buying. I'm just not, because I can get by. And that could affect your business because you might be in the non-essential. You might be in the discretionary category, and that's going to affect your business. And real quick, I was on Threads. I'm on Threads a lot because there's a lot of conversations going on. And I don't know if I saved it, but this one woman was talking about her business and the tariffs, that she needs something that comes from another country, and she put in an order, and now they said you can't have it until you pay the $5,000 tax of whatever it is. And she said, well, this is going to destroy my business. And people were telling, she was like, she didn't want to raise, what it is she didn't want to raise her prices. Just like Fran was saying about you pass it on to the consumer. She didn't want to do that because I think it was like, a crafting business, something personal to her, where she was probably making handcrafted items. She didn't really say what a business was, but it was clear that she did not want to pass the cost on to her customers in an elevated or increased price. But a lot of people were telling her, well, if that's what you need to do and stay in business, then that's what you're going to have to do. And if people can't buy it, see, everybody's got to adjust. This is what I'm bringing up. Every business, every customer, every consumer, you can see what consumers are going to do. Because they're saying it right here. They already said this. This was in February, before the tariffs were even put in and the things that were talked about. Even before, everybody losing all their 401k money, which is the Wall Street, the stock market is emotionally driven. Saying something can affect the markets. And I believe I read yesterday, one of the news stories, they were saying that stock market's going, it opened and went down, but then there was a rumor that the administration was going to put a 90-day pause on the tariffs, and then the stock market went back up because that was encouraging and hopeful news. But then these people came out and said, oh no, that's not true, and it went back down again. And that's why when you look at the market, it's always a roller coaster. The charts are roller coasters because it's emotional driven. It's tied into consumer sentiment. It's tied into how we feel about our financial situation, which affects a business.
Yes, it does.
And that affects the financial situation of your business, whether you are a one person. I don't care if you're one person or 100 people, you're still a business. Even if it's just you, just like the example I gave of the one lady. I'm not sure if he had employees, but she was saying that this is the end. She's going out of business. And there's a lot of stories like that online. And I have really had to stop reading because I was just like, oh, I can't. It gets to be too much. So this is one of the studies that we were looking at, and I said that, you know, from last week we were going to look at this one, but now got another one because of the CBS News story, and they talked about the University of Michigan study. That's what they were talking about. So I found that, and let me show you that. This one is, you know, there's not a lot of images. It's all straight numbers. What I like about this site, and it's called tradingeconomics.com. And this is United States Consumer Confidence. So I'm going to read this summary just a little bit. So the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment for the U.S. Was they revise, they do it every month. So they're saying consumer sentiment fell for a third straight month to hit the lowest since November 2022 as consumers' expectations worsened for personal finance, business conditions, unemployment, and inflation. Consumers continue to worry about the potential for pain and ongoing economic policy developments. Notably, 2/3 of consumers expect unemployment to rise in the year ahead, the highest reading since 2009. And then they talk about the expectation index fell, and they talk about, you know, what's going on here. But they said inflation expectations for the year top 5%, the highest since November 22. And long run inflation expectations were also revised higher to 4.1% from 3.9%. But what this, and this is University of Michigan, what this is saying is that it's that things are, as far as the consumer sentiment, things are rising. Like they're concerned about the potential for pain. I love how they said this, that consumers continue to worry about the potential for pain amid ongoing economic policy developments. Okay, so that was a summary, and they had some stats here. So let's look at this, and let me see if I can get it to be a little bigger. And let's see. So this is consumer confidence in the United States decreased to 57 points in March from 64.70 points in February. So consumer confidence in the United States averaged 85.13 points from 1952 until 2025, reaching an all-time high of 111.40 points in January of 2000, and a record low of 50 points in June of 2022. So this page provides the latest reported value for the United States consumer sentiment. And so they, and of course, is the Michigan consumer sentiment data. It was last updated on April of 2025. So you can see here, I love bar charts. April 2024, look how high that is to March. Let's go to February 2025. I mean, we don't have to look at all the numbers and the mean and the variance. I add the percentage change. We really don't have to pay attention to that number. But what I love about a bar chart is you can see the rise and the fall just visually. So the first bar here is April 2024. The last one is March 2025. Actually, yes, because we're done with March. So look at March. Look at March.
March is like, March is lower than everything.
Right. That's what I was like, that can be right. But it is right because we're in March, we're in April. We're in April. So they're gonna give us April at the end of the month. So they do it every month. But look at this. All we gotta do is look at it. I don't even have to look at the numbers and everything and just say, hey, when I mouse over it, April 2024, March 2025. Consumer sentiment.
Yep.
And this is a good web. Let me put this link in there because there's a good web. This is a good website I just discovered. There's all kind of charts and things. Consumer credit, consumer spending, credit card, debit. If you ever want to get into other things, disposable personal income, gasoline prices, personal savings, they measure all of this. And I was like, whoa, this is a lot of information. I'll be swimming in this for a while. But this is the link in the chat to this, which is specifically the consumer sentiment, and they measure it every month. This was referenced in the CBS News financial report, which I'm like, okay, I kind of trust this because they were the one that references, and I found it. There was no link in the story, but I just kind of found it on my own. I was like, okay, this sounds like something we might want to look at. So what do we think so far about consumer sentiment, and as far as what they look at and what we can consider?
The consumer is only going to pay or use discretionary funds for something they truly want.
Yes.
They are not going to, they may, okay, well, I really don't have to have that popcorn. I can have this. Instead, they're going to make decisions based on what they really want. Like you were talking about the delivery fees or the delivery services. They may find, they may start going to go pick up whatever, or they will find a delivery service that's going to give them the best. They're going to be more picky with what they spend it and where.
Yes. And that's why we're looking at it, because we need to know where the mind of the consumer is. What are they thinking about? What are they concerned about? And I put the link in so you guys can look at it, but just visually, that chart was enough for me.
They're making adjustments because if they have to take on the added expense, something else is going to give.
Yes.
Are they going to buy a car right now, or are they going to try and fix up the hoopty?
Yeah. So some of the information that I got was consumer spending, which forms 2/3 of the U.S. economic activity, may be threatened by reduced confidence and caution driven by economic uncertainty. There's that word again, uncertainty. Rising fears of tariffs, layoffs, and market instability are adding to the decline in consumer trust.
Yeah.
And it's all right now because of tariff concerns, because you've seen, if you're paying attention to the news, and I haven't watched the news, I just go online and go to Threads, or I see a conversation somewhere and I get the information like that, but I will double check.
Here's the thing, you've said this, or alluded to this before. The news is going to find you. It is like you really do not have to be subscribed to a news channel or anything.
It will find you.
It will find you. I'm looking at something on YouTube, and there it is, top news. I didn't ask y'all to put that on my thing.
I use Perplexity. It has news in there. I have a bunch of apps that do other things, but when I go into it, like I have does everybody know Flipboard? Flipboard.
I remember Flipboard, yes.
It's been around a while. I have the app on my phone, and I rarely go into it unless something like my notifications. It will pop up. Like here's one, it says latest tech news, or it says latest whatever, and it tells me like 19 minutes ago there's something going on with crypto. What is this? Pulling back its enforcement of crypto regulations, and if it's something that I'm like, okay, let me see what it is, I'll get it, but I don't go searching for the news. It comes to me.
It is almost like I'm trying to see what I could equate this to. I was like, I didn't have, and it finds you. You know what I mean?
Yes, it finds you, and that's why my notifications are always silent during, like, if I'm working. I get them because see, they're popping up here, but they're on silent for me. Otherwise, because they make a noise and they bloop bloop bloop. That drives me crazy. So I silence my notification, and then if I'm like, okay, let me jump in and see what's going on, and then I pick up my phone and I just look at the notification center, and I'm like,
the notification center gives you a little summary of what is going, and if I want to dive deeper into it, then I can click. But I try not to have all that coming at me.
And see, I have what is this thing? Apple News. So now I'm looking at Apple News, and it will tell me, like, here's an article from Forbes: Trump's tariffs coming to your medicine cabinet real soon. So if I'm interested and I got time, I will tap on it. But what I'm saying is my sources will pop up with things, even my email.
Or
Even,
what was that lady's name? Mrs. Gladys on Bewitched.
oh yes, Gladys Kravitz.
Gladys Kravitz. She'll come tell you what's happening. Did you know?
Hey, did you heard the neighbors down the street? Blah blah. See that? What's her name? Bewitched is minding her business, taking care of her home. Her husband is working. Here comes Gladys Kravitz knocking on the door with the latest gossip or the latest news or whatever. So that's my point of, I don't search for the news. I either pick up my phone and one of the sources that I have pops up, or if I go to Google and search, or I would go to Perplexity and search. Thank goodness ChatGPT, the app, doesn't do it now, but it might. Then I have another app called Break the Web.
Right, and it really, man, I'm glad ChatGPT does not feed up any news. Oh
Yeah,
my
it doesn't do it yet. But my other apps will, if I want to do some searching of something, and it goes, oh, okay, and it kind of know, AI kind of knows the last time you looked at something, which I take advantage of that, because I'm like, okay, don't show it to me until I'm ready, and I have a minute, and I'm ready to consume it. Whereas, I'm not putting people down, but they have the news on. I turned the news off years ago when this guy was in last. I said, that's it. I'm done.
And there are so many voices saying the same thing over and over and over and over. I was like, oh, I have to get out of this pool.
I don't have time. What I do have time for is Substack. Now, that's one of the places where I'm following a lot of people who used to be in the news of mainstream media news, and now they're on Substack. Joy Reid is one. There's a guy from CNN.
Over there.
Joy Reid is there. There's another guy from CNN, and he left like a month or two ago. Jim Acosta, is that what I want to say?
I think that's who it is.
He's on Substack. There's another lady, Heather Cox, something, that she's been doing political stuff, and they've been suppressed. Meta has suppressed her stuff, and people got mad because they were on Facebook or whatever, but she's on Substack. So she's on, and I saw a post on Facebook, oh, they suppressed Heather. She's on Substack. I was like, yeah, I've been following her on Substack. That's where you guys should be. There's a lot of political news going over there, and Substack is like, hey, they're loving it.
Wild. It's not wild over at Substack. It is, you just peruse the aisles and find out who you want to follow and what you want to, and you can, like TJ has always said, you can curate your feed. You can curate the content that is coming to you. If you don't want political news, you don't have to get it.
Yeah. So Ross Brand is over there. We're over there. Bizchicks, a whole bunch of people. So it depends on what you're looking for. A lot of people are moving their home over to Substack. So a lot of political based people who, like I said, Joy Reid, her show was canceled on MSNBC, but she didn't stop. She's
Dr. Dooley's on Substack. Woo!
Let me see.
Now I got to pull that out and go find you.
Let me see. I'm looking to see if I got a notification. I did. I got a notification. See? Now that's what I mean. Like, if I have time and I go over and I say, okay, let me see what's going on. It says Tachi posted their first note, and then I can tap on it, and then I can read it, and then I can go and like it. I see. The thing is, you can restack, you can reshare. I'm still getting into all the things. Substack does a lot, people. It does a lot. There is podcasting, there is notes, there is live streaming, there's chat. I can't even list all the stuff that's over there. Then you can make your posts and your notes, and you can have free content and paid content. It's a big buffet of things, ways to do your content. So you might
And
want
they
to be there.
and they've done it well. It
And
is not crazy over there, and it's not difficult to maneuver.
yes. And it's not when Substack first started, because I had it for a while, just didn't use it. It was journalists and writers. It was like a community of writers, like Medium was writers. But now Substack is anybody. You can have any type of business.
Yep.
But you're sharing things in a remember that you're sharing things in a written format, and it doesn't have to be I always say War and Peace. Like, it doesn't have to be this long. People on Substack are used to short content, and it can be as short as long as you want, or you could do short and say, I have a longer blog post on my website, and you can point people to where they need to go. That's what I like about it. And it's just beginning to be a buzz. I hear a lot of people talking about it who aren't, like I said, you aren't journalists and writers, because those were the first people on it. Just like with Instagram, the first people on Instagram were photographers, sharing their photos and having a community, and then it just kind of exploded from there. So I feel that kind of same thing about Substack.
Yep.
And if you've got TikTok videos, or if you got YouTube videos, or if you got LinkedIn posts, you can bring some of that content over to Substack and point them back to where. See, it's a two-way. You can, I do stuff. If you do stuff on Pinterest, you can come to Substack and put your stuff, your Pinterest picture, and have it linked back. There's many ways to do it, but it is not a writer, journalist, community, news people anymore. They're there because they, certainly started it, but it's got to be a thing. Like YouTube is a thing.
Yep.
And you need to start now with your Substack. And
you need to start now with your YouTube if you haven't done it.
Just start it. I'm not saying, and my Substack, I've done it. I'm just like, I've got posts in drafts. I'm like, okay, I got to get over there and work on it. So I'm not saying, I'm saying myself, I'm telling myself, I got to make sure I do more stuff on Substack. Right. But it's there waiting for me. I always say it's that, you want a farm, you go buy the land, you go look at the land. Well, where's the farmhouse and the barn and where's the crops? And we'll roll up your sleeves and get to work. Get to work. And I say that because we're heading into, and to bring up this consumer sentiment, we're heading into uncertainty.
Right.
Economically, financially, with your business. We don't know what's coming. We're on this roller coaster. Everybody's on it together. So that's why we're talking about it, because I'm like, hey, I got to show you, hey, think of this period as the same as when we were in the pandemic. I know it's horrible to say, but we were all, financially, economically, with your business. We might be entering into that kind of same space, but it's not the COVID is this guy. It doesn't matter who's doing it, it's being done to us. So we got a plan for what we're going to do in this, and it may be a dark valley that we walking through, just like with the pandemic. That was a dark place, but we got out. So hopefully we'll get out of this. It's just going to take a while. So now we got to go back into planning and this is why I wanted to show you about consumer sentiment, because we're not there. We're not there yet. We're not recession, inflation, not yet. And I've heard talk of stagflation. I'm like, we really don't want to go there. So we're not there yet, but you need to plan for if those things happen, and what are consumers going to do? Well, these charts are here to kind of show you where the mindset is.
Okay, so you're saying we should have a survival kit of sorts ready.
Yes, I love that. I didn't even think about it. A survival kit.
Pack your
A survival.
water, get your water, get your flashlights, get your batteries. And so you can lead people wherever they need to go so that we can keep following.
Yes, there are going to be some things that you may have to do as a business that you never had to do before. But you want to keep rolling. Things may have to change as far as your prices. You may go up or down. I don't that's a personal decision. Like this example of the lady on Threads, and they were telling about the tariff costs, and the people were telling her, well, you're gonna have to increase your price. And she didn't want to, but you're going to have to make those hard decisions. Or you may say, I could be in a position where I can lower my prices because of consumer sentiment. And that's why I brought that up, of where people's mindset is right now as far as spending their money. If you're in the discretionary section of this, you might want to start planning on, well, what can I do to keep people buying my products and services? Because my stuff is discretionary. It's a nice to have, but it's not a necessity. Because I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. People are going to spend money on the mortgage comes first. The lights, utilities come first. Water bill, food. If my kid is in school, those things come first. Okay,
So
that's a given.
So we need to figure out how to move from this discretionary to necessity. What do we need to do to move my business from this chart over here? You know what I mean? Because, for example, the people who are in the wellness space,
Yes.
and people talking about mental wellness and things of that nature, I need to make sure that I position my offerings, my whatever it is I do in that space, move it over to
Yes.
be, because mental wellness is a necessity.
It's a necessity. I
And
agree.
so how do I move from, oh, it's just nice to go to the
Nice
spa,
to have.
to you need to put this in your budget.
Yes. And I love that example of, and there's some people that in their budget going to the spa and getting a massage twice a week or whatever it is of going to a spa, they probably might reconsider that based on their financial situation. And then if you're in a spot where you provide some kind of service, not on that level of them going to the spa, but it's something that, like Fran said, helping with their mental health, they might be more open to that now because they can't spend the whatever they were spending on the spa treatment. But you got something that's a little lower cost that fits into that small margin now of discretionary income that they have left. So you gotta reposition yourself.
So
you gotta sell yourself again.
Exactly. So you know how people have where you can go to someone for the mindfulness where they can relax.
Yes.
What if there was a group call for that?
Yes.
Instead of you doing it individually.
That's a good way to think about it. You're gonna have to think about how I can retrofit what I've got in case this thing happens, in case the recession happens, in case whatever it is, where people are keeping their pocketbooks closed, their wallets closed when they were open before. That's why I said about the study we talked about last week. They were talking about stuff in December. Well, we were in a different spot in December, October, November. We were in a different place with the economy. See? And now we're in a different spot. So there's panic, there's protests in the street.
Look, there was a lot of protests.
There was protests. It was in every state across the board. There'll be more. See, that's not just one. There'll be more. So consumer sentiment, very important to know, to take the pulse of the consumer.
And it wasn't just, it was bipartisan. people with the pitchforks. Now it
Yes,
wasn't.
you can see that it's not a us, one side, this red and blue. It's not that anymore. It's people are in, and it's all because of what happened with with the stock market. Before it was the social services that the government was providing, Social Security, Medicaid, those kind. But now we move from that to people's actual 401k retirement plans tied to the stock market. Of, oh, wait a minute, I'm losing money here. But it has nothing to do with what the federal government was doing as far as, firing employees and cutting
Yeah.
back. And, it was all Veterans Association, not Veterans Association, Veterans Administration. It was Social Security. It was Medicare, Medicaid. And okay, yeah, I was like, yeah, we need to help that. But when you got into people's wallets, as far as their retirement, I mean, people like 9 to 5, I'm working a 9 to 5, and I'm paying my bills and things are good, and I got a little bit of a nest egg in my
And now you
401k.
messing with
And
my
now
401k. Hold on. The
now you're
pitchforks
messing with
ain't.
my 401. Yeah. And some of the signs with that, keep your hands off my 401. See, now it's moved from the government agencies providing services to people in need to messing with the actual markets. So now we got to start looking at the plan. So that's why I would say it feels kind of like the pandemic, when things were, what happened? What did you go through then? What was your business plans? And we talked about that a lot. Because I was saying that business can keep going. You just you gotta think about, okay, I gotta make some plans, contingency plans, in case this recession happens, in case this happens, in case the tariffs, this and that, in case of, I don't even want to say the word stagflation, which is if you don't know what that is, look it up. It is bad.
Yeah,
It is bad.
but this is why you prepare, right? Isn't
Yes.
this preparedness?
Yes.
Like be prepared. Is that the Girl Scouts and the
Yeah, the
Boys?
Girl Scouts motto, or the boy, is it girl or Boy Scouts? One of them
Okay,
is
somebody
prepared.
said be prepared.
So that's what we're talking about now. Be prepared. Which this, talking about this week came out of last week. Like, oh, let's look at the consumer, consumer spending and what's going on, and ha. And then it led me into this, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And then we had some up to the minute things happen on Friday and Monday that really is rocking the boat of, okay, these things are happening. Let me look at my plans. To see, you may have been planning for how things were in Q4 2024. And now we are in Q2 2025, and it's a whole different game. See? It's a whole different game. But the game is still here. We're still holding on. Hopefully people will be able to hold on to the businesses. Like I said, that one lady that was, the tariffs was going to, she was like, where am I going to pay this $5,000 to get her goods that came from, she didn't say where they came from, but it was necessary to her business to do her products or services. And she did not want to pass that cost on to her customers, but she may have to. And if she does that, because her fear, I know where her fear is, that people aren't going to buy, that it's not going to be the same as Q4 2024, that, there'll be less sales, there'll be less customers. And yes, that might happen. But then you got to hold, the key to this is holding on to what you have. Holding on to the customer that you have now, the consumer. And that means having a way to message them, have a way to talk to them that is not social media. That's why we brought up the Substack. That's why I always talk about email. If you can get them on SMS, this is a good time. That's more of a more intimate connection, a deeper connection, if you can get them there, because we ride this thing out. We ride this wave, and then when we get on shore, we might be a little bruised and battered, but we still have that connection to those customers. So don't let them go. Try your best to hold on to them in any way possible. If you got to do free, but keep the lifeline, the connection with them in some form or fashion. There are many ways. I said Substack, email, SMS, your Facebook group, whatever you have. Try to give more value, because that will be appreciated once we get out of the situation into a place where the market, the economy will rise, because it will.
Right.
We came out of the pandemic. That's why I brought up that. We came out of that. It was not pleasant. I'm not saying it's going to be easy nor pleasant.
But
we came out of it.
But we came through.
Yes,
that
we came
is
through.
the we do hard things.
Yeah.
Okay, 1920, was it, when was the last one, the last downturn?
The Great Depression, 1927.
Yeah, 32, 28.
Yeah.
We came through. Well, the people before us came through, or else we wouldn't be here.
America came through. Let's say the United States of America came through. And what I'm saying is that you have to look forward. Whatever planning, whatever things, contingencies, whatever you did during the pandemic, you may want to go back and revisit those things, because you may want to do those same things over to keep yourself in business.
Right. And the thing that you came into business for, just like you're saying, just may need to tweak, because that thing is, we are tweaking from being discretionary to a necessity. Exactly. What do I need to be? How do I become a necessity?
Yeah, you want to keep that lifeline together. You want to keep that lifeline with that customer who has bought from you in the past when the times were good, when 2024 economically was good for them. They were buying, and they can continue to buy from you. But now you got to keep that lifeline together with them for when we go through this dark phase, this period, into a better economic time, and they're still holding on to the rope with you. They're still holding on to the rope with you and your business, that you're connected with them. There's that rope. You're pulling them in. We're going to make it. We're going to do it. Whatever you got to do. That's what happens. And I was just, I paused because I had I always reference like all these movies from like the 90s and stuff where they, business stuff. So I was thinking about Mr. Mom, which is a really old one.
Yeah.
And there was some situation, and the guy was a tuna. I don't remember when it was, but they were discussing the marketing strategy of what to do, because there was some bad economic times then. And then I think the mom was like, "Oh, let's do this and that," and the owner of the business didn't want to do it, but it was the right thing to do. So that just popped in my head. I was like, "Oh, I got to go watch that movie."
Yes. And we might need to do that too, since the necessity is I'm not going to the movie theater. I'm gonna go back.
That's gonna be one of the things. That's one of the things. And it
might stay at home.
Hey, Netflix might have a problem this time, because we went from the movie theater to Netflix. So now Netflix they should be sweating.
Right, because they raised their prices.
Yes.
And people are like, I cannot pay for Netflix.
Yes.
I'm which one of these streaming channels is going to give me the most bang for my buck?
Might be zero, because I can go to YouTube. YouTube is free.
Say more.
They might go to YouTube. There's movies on YouTube.
Okay, so YouTube, we can go, and it already has commercials. So if I don't want premium, I don't have to have it.
Tubi is Tubi. Tubi's. I have not watched Tubi yet, but Tubi's free, right? Tubi.
Yes, and Pluto.
Pluto. There's a whole bunch of those. So
look, I may not. We might be going like this. Wait, how do you disconnect? Netflix, you might be pulling the plug.
What's the other one? The sport. Is there an ESPN Plus?
Yeah, and people look. I got YouTube TV, so I don't need ESPN Plus. I'm like, so
all of the Hulu Plus, all of the plus, this plus, that. Well, the plus is gonna be a minus.
Because I'm and I already turned off Disney Channel. I'm like, okay.
So Dr. Tati said Tubi, Pluto, Freebie is another. That is where we're going, people. So plan accordingly. Your business strategy, your marketing strategy. Think, what can you make your plans now, because this is happening. Okay, this is happening.
And so I don't know what's going to happen about, the cable companies trying to win people back, but we are not coming back.
I don't know about that. But I don't know what's happening with the tariffs. I don't know. But what it is that the direction of that affects the markets, which affects people. We're all, and it brings me around to what I said earlier in the beginning, that the other countries are talking about, oh, you guys in a boat. I was like, no, we all in a boat, people. Globally, markets are tied together. Like, we're all on Earth, right? Well, the global markets are the global markets. The U.S. markets are tied to Japan, to Europe, to this, to Asia. That's why they all talk about these markets. If you watch the financial news, they talk about all of these markets because we're all tied together. So again, so some of these things we need to think about. So we'll see what happens.
We said this was good.
We'll keep an eye and see what happened. Is how I got to this is like what we talked about last week about the consumer spending trends. And you see how important this information is to know.
This is good stuff.
You cannot continue to, I'm just going to run my business and people are going to buy. Not when they have this kind of consumer sentiment on their minds. And it's uncertainty. Another word that it kept coming up. Volatile. We don't know where it's going. So you need to make your contingency plans now. What can I do to keep these customers? So if you've got some, people, I got a $9.97 course. I'm like, well, that's not a necessity. So you might be seeing some things happen with your memberships, with your signups for these courses and these masterminds, and the money might not be there. And what will you do? That's what I want you to think. What will you do to stay in business? What is your pivot move?
That's good.
What are you going to do? What's your pivot move? Where are you going to go? Think about it now. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not saying that it will happen. I'm just saying that you see consumer sentiment. That's what drives the economy. People buy things. That drives the economy. We're all connected.
Yes, we are. So you can find Terry Johnson online everywhere. Connect with her so you can get some more good information, ideas, strategies, tips that you need for your social media and
if you've got questions, and I have no problem answering questions. I love doing that. Bring me. And just for fun of it, I changed my Instagram bio to something about, what did I change it to? I don't even remember. Something about looking at your strategy in 5 minutes. I'm like, ooh, I'm really going out on the limb there. Let me see what happens. Let me see. What did I change? I saw something. Chat. Jessica, my assistant, and I was talking about strategy, and I was like, oh, okay, that was a good idea. So I was like, let me put it in my Instagram bio and see what happens. Let's see. I think, what did I call it? Oh, here we go. I said, I can tell within 5 minutes why your strategy isn't working. It's a challenge. I'm going to try it. But I just say that because I like answering questions. So, reach out to me your favorite platform, Terry Johnson Online. Ask me a question. I don't, I'm not like, oh, well, you got to pay me to answer a question. I don't do that. Ask me a question. I'm used to it. That was, when I had.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's I see, and my assistant came up with that idea. So I was like, should I put this here? Let me see what happens. I wanted to see if anybody reads it and what do they do.
I like your post. I mean, your profile picture is nice too. I'm like,
breaking up what? What happened? Can you repeat
I
that?
said
Because it's
your profile picture looks good
Oh,
too.
okay. Thank you. One real quick question before we leave. I thought Instagram got rid of the notes thing, but when I look at my profile and my profile picture says share a note. I gotta check on that. I thought they got rid of notes.
Look, I don't know. They confusing folks.
I was like, why am I seeing it? Because they got rid of it. Oh, I think they got rid of it everywhere except the DMs. That might be a
That
DM.
I think that's it. Because the DMs, yeah, I think that was it. Because I see share a
Okay.
note on mine too.
It
And I'm
says,
like,
okay, when I
why?
tap it, yeah, when I tap it, it says followers, you follow back. Okay. I gotta look
Okay,
at that.
fine. I don't know. They got too much stuff going on.
I never use the notes. I see it all the time. I never use it.
They
And
do too much.
Instagram knows we don't use it.
Mhm.
We as in business owners, the Gen Z loves it.
Yeah.
I think they love it because it's like a Snapchat kind of private message, you know. But I don't want to get off on that. So
Yeah, that's if
so
they
just
even use Instagram.
so just reach out, Terry Johnson Online, your favorite platform. Ask me a question. I'll be glad to answer it. Not a problem.
And you can join the Bizchicks Substack at bizchicks.net. That'll take you straight to our Substack. And then you can also join our messaging app to join Bizchicks. You can text Biz to 33777. That will put you on our text list so that if we have anything come up, we can send you a text. We don't spam at all. We just do things here to help you take the hassle out of your hustle so that you can build a profitable business that's fun to run. And I don't know where my other little sticker thing is. I don't know. Anyway, we're here to help you take the hassle out of your hustle, and we will be back next week. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Looking forward to seeing you on Substack. Let us know where you are. Bye-bye.